Welcome everyone. In this video I'm going to go through a few challenges from my string manipulation video. Now I'm only going to do some challenges from the second string manipulation video because the challenges in the first string manipulation video are pretty much answered in the tutorial video themselves, so it seems a bit redundant for me to actually just go show you how to do them again. I'm going to show you 3 of the challenges from this second video, and I'm not going to do the 4th one. This 4th one is a very good challenge to sort of test where you're at programming. If you can do something like this yourself, then it's a really good indicator that you've actually come quite far in your programming skill. So what I want you to do is try this yourself. If you get stuck, this is where you can start doing some research. Well, how can I detect uppercase and lowercase characters? There's actually lots of different methods to do this. So you can do some research, check different forums, check different websites, and if you've been following these videos and trying the other challenges, you can probably do this yourself at this point. So I'll show you how to do the first 3 challenges. The first one is looping through a word and printing out every character separated by a space. So let's create a string. Let's call it my string. Let's use hello world, although that does mean we've got a space, so I want every character separated by one space, so let's put a dash in here. But the idea is we need to loop through all characters in the string and output all characters in one line separated by a space. Let's do my read key at the end. So we're going to do a console.writeLine, and then we are going to use the my string, and very similar to a character array, we're going to refer to each element of the string and then just add a space. So if we run this as is, it's putting them on all separate lines. So that's not what I want. I'll remove the line, and now we've got the string separated by spaces, so that's exactly what I want. So that's the first challenge done. Second challenge, come up with a username. So we're going to ask the user for their first name and their surname, and then we're going to store the first 2 letters of their first name and the first 3 letters of their surname as the username. Then we'll output the surname. So this is where we're going to do 2. So let's do the instructions first. So console.writeLine. Please enter your first name. And we'll do a console.readLine. We'll rename this to user first name. Bit of a long variable, but we'll deal with it. Why have I capitalized N there? There we go. And then we're going to call this user surname. So we've got the 2 inputs. Then I'm going to call this third variable, not a string, a string. We'll call this username. And what we're going to say is the username is going to be equal to the first names. First, let's double check. We need, not that one. It is the first 2 letters of their first name and the first 3 letters of their surname. So the first 2 letters would be that plus that. So element 0 and element 1 of the first name. So what we're going to need to do is convert each of these into characters. So this is a little bit tedious and it's going to take a little bit of extra time. So we're going to have to say char.parse. There we go. No, not char.parse. That's converting string into a char. It's the other way around. It's so char.toString. So we're going to need to do that for all of the letters. So let's copy that over. So that's the first letter and the second letter. So that's got the username. Now we're going to have a massive line here if I'm going to put them all on one line. So what I might do instead is let's create 3 variables. So user first name, and then we'll do the same for the user surname. And we're going to say the surname's first name, first element, second element, and the final element. So element 0, element 1, and element 2, and that's the surname. I could do all this in one line, but I don't like code stretching off into the unknown over here, so I'm going to separate into 2 lines, and then the third one is I'm going to call user name is equal to the first name plus the surname, and then we can output the username. So let's make sure this works. So we're going to call this Henry is the first name, Smith is the second name, which means Hisme is the username. Now we could have done that all in one line, but as I said, I don't like this. I don't like it when code does this, where it just goes off the screen like this. Now you can do this to, as I say this, and I haven't actually explained what I'm on about. So you can do this if I add a new line. Because I haven't added a semicolon, it still considers this one line. So you haven't added a semicolon on line 19, so line 20 is a continuation of line 19. So that's another way we can do it. So I could do this, and it saves a little space. So yeah, probably should have done that first, to be honest. So challenge 2 is already done, so we're on challenge 3 now. So write a program that will ask the user to come up with a password after they input their first name and their surname. So ask the user for their first name, ask the user for their surname, ask for their password. If the password contains either their first name or their surname, then they need to come up with a new password. So we've already got inputs for their first name and their surname. So let's get a third input for their password. And then we'll call this user password. Now this is where we're going to use the .contains. So if we do if the user password .contains, and we can use the first name as a variable. So if it contains the first name, and we also need to make sure it doesn't contain the surname as well. So this is where the Boolean operator OR can come in. And we can say the same thing if the user password contains the surname. Then we can say console.writeLine. No, what am I doing? I've already written console.writeLine. Your password does not match the requirements. That'll do. And we're going to get them to re-enter their password. So I'm going to say, please re-enter your password. So that'll work as an if statement. We're going to change it into a while loop in a second, but this is a good way to test it out. So let's say we're going to do Henry Smith again. And my password is going to be Mr. Smith, and that should not allow that. So it's noticed that I've got Smith in here, and it doesn't allow that. So one thing actually, if I do Smith in lowercase, that actually works. So what we might want to do is force the password, so force all of these into lowercase using toLower. So that means, although that'll mess with the surname and password. Oh, it doesn't matter, to be honest. User first name equals user first name dot toLower. So what that means is I'm going to force everything into lowercase, so it doesn't matter what the cases are at that point. And we're going to do the same with the password. Now I might want to, if this was a real program, I'll probably create separate variables to actually do this. So just so if I wanted to store the password and the username, it would actually separate these into different variables. So I can still use the cases in these variables, but I would create brand new variables right here, here, and here to actually force them lower. I'm going to be lazy and not do that though. So right now, if I do the Henry Smith, now if I do Mr. Smith is the password, then it doesn't match. Now all we need to do now is just simply change this if into a while loop. Then it will keep repeating. So let's go Henry Smith and Mr. Smith. Does not allow that. So what about Henry S? Doesn't allow that either. What about password? Does allow that because it doesn't actually have that in the rules. And that is that. So if you have any questions about how those challenges work, then let me know in the comments. If you like this video, then give this video a like and consider giving me a subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.